So, good morning, dear friends. Hopefully, I can get this camera to sit the way it needs to sit. So this is Gerald, and I'm coming to you live. I'm actually in my studio where I teach voice lessons, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my VSG journey. Anyone who has been following my VSG journey knows what this process has been thus far, but this is sort of like a reflective moment where I am thinking about the process and not just the process, the successes and the struggles. And I typically don't follow a pattern in terms of the videos that I make, where when you look at other videos on YouTube and other social media platforms, a lot of the folks are really it's all about the flash, and they post these wonderful before after photos and whatnot, and that's great. That is absolutely great, and it's very inspiring and helpful. But a lot of times it's about likes. How many likes do I get? Well, for me, I'm doing this because I want to make sure that there's a voice out there that is just speaking to you about the realities of what this process has been for me. This is my journey. This is not me telling you how you need to move forward in your journey. But I just wanted to share these experiences with you. So I'll look away at the screen because I have a computer screen to the left of my camera right here, where I will be sort of looking at some of the notes that I have laid out for myself. Otherwise, I would just, meander and wander off in conversation. But the big things are this. I'm reflecting on this journey today for a reason, because this is my 4-month post-op. I started this journey officially in June of 2022. That's when I, started going to my meetings and all of those things, and then had my surgery in December. But long before then, to kind of give you a little bit of the backstory, I had been struggling with my weight for most of my adult life. In fact, until I was about 9 or 10, I was considered underweight as a child. But then I started to pick up weight. I come from a family of well-fed folks. Many of them are from the South, so a lot of those Southern traditions were brought up north, and we continued those, and it was wonderful. But as most of us have experienced, there are times where we kind of lose that sense of control, that sense of fullness. So I have been struggling with this issue called weight for most of my adult life. In fact, all of my adult life, really. Every possible diet you could imagine, think of. And then fast forward to about 10 years ago, 2012, is when a friend of mine had bariatric surgery, and she had it done in Ypsilanti. And I spoke with her about her process because she was really looking good and doing well. She gave me a surgeon's name. I contacted the clinic down there, and I went to one of their seminars. And then I also went to a seminar at a facility in Kalamazoo, which is where I actually ultimately ended up getting my surgery some 10 years later. And for me, it's kind of funny because when they said you can't have caffeine, you can't, and you can't have coffee, and you can't have soda and all of that, that was when I was like, look, this is not for me. I'm out. This is not for me to do. And really, I'm glad that was the case, because that meant I was not ready at that time. Jump ahead to 2022, when I started experiencing more health issues. The blood sugar was really getting out of control, like to the degree where my A1C had gone above 9. And that really worried me when my doctors stopped talking about other possibilities or other medications I could take, and started speaking about how diabetes eventually will progress, and I will eventually have to take insulin, etc. And I was already taking Victoza, which is a injectable, and I was just so sick and tired of having that done and just worrying about my blood sugar that I decided it was time to do something, and to do something different, and to do something that was meaningful and lifelong changing. And that's when I decided to really seriously start to research and look into the potentials of medical weight loss. And I didn't even start with the surgery part. I had my doctor, she put me on some weight loss medication, which did nicely for a little bit. You know, I took the meds, I was losing weight because I wasn't eating. And I had lost like, 20 pounds. And that was really exciting, but you can only take this medication for a certain period of time, and then you have to be off of it for like, a year or whatever. And then you can take it again up to 3 times. And every time I stopped taking this particular medication, my weight started to go back up. And when my weight hit 285 plus, that scared me. Because that was after I had lost a significant amount of weight. I had got I believe my doctor said at one point I was 303 pounds. And then I got down to the 290s. And then I got down to the 260 something or other on that medication. And then it, boomed all the way up again to 293, and then I lost some weight and it got down to about I want to say 285, 287. And then I started talking to my doctor about bariatric, but it wasn't bariatric surgery, it was the non-surgical bariatric. And I did that, and so I got down to about 279, 280. But I kept going between 280 and 290, 280 and 290, 280. And I just realized that didn't have the control that I needed in my life. And it was too easy for me just to skirt tail and get around it, cancel appointment, don't go see, the nutritionist, what have you. And I decided it was time to actually do something that was significant. And that's when I started talking to my doctor about scheduling an appointment for bariatric consultation with an actual surgeon. And that process, when I tell you, it is one of the most challenging and difficult things I have ever done in my life. And I got a doctorate degree, y'all. And anybody who has advanced degrees knows how stressful that is in itself. Yeah, I had to study. I had to exercise. I had to do everything that I needed to do in order to even get approved for this surgery. And after numerous appointments and evaluations and meetings with the medical team and the dietitian meetings and counseling and group sessions, I realized some very significant things about myself. And I looked at those things that were patterns that would repeat themselves consistently. And I came up with a way to avoid the repeat of those things and find healthier alternatives. And I'm just so grateful. And when I had the surgery on December 7th of 2022, 4 months ago today, that was the day my life changed forever. And I am just so grateful that that occurred. So just to kind of give you an update of where I am, here are some basic stats. On December 7th, the day of my surgery, I had not exercised with any regularity leading up to that. I did a little bit of exercise here or there, but I really didn't exercise with any regularity. I obviously was preparing to go into surgery on that day. I went to surgery 7:30 in the morning, and I was out of surgery and done with the surgical process by 11:30, and I was in the hospital overnight, and I was up walking hours after I had got out of the surgery, because I was determined to get myself up and moving and start this process immediately. And I did. As soon as the doctor said it was okay, I was up, and my husband and I walked up and down the hallways, uh, until the next day when they released me, and I continued that process. I was an unhealthy weight of 265 the day of the surgery. And that obviously includes the loss of 20 pounds between November 23rd, which is when the 2-week liquid diet started for me. So once that was the case, I had lost a good 20 pounds, and then I just continued from there. At the time, I wore a size 50-inch waist. That's what I wore in pants. Between 48, and when I say between 48 and 50, I was really a 50, but I could squeeze myself a little bit into a 48 depending on the cut of the pant. Then jump ahead to February 7th. At that time, I was 238.2 pounds. Now, before I continue on, leading into that, between the surgery day and that 30-day period, that first month or so, I was dropping weight pretty rapidly and consistently. Almost every day I was losing like a quarter of a pound to a pound or what have you. But there comes a point where it's like they say, it's like steps. You drop and drop, and then you level off, and then you drop and drop, and then you level off. Well, that's sort of what has started to happen between February and now, but I am consistently still going down. So February 7th, I was 238.2. March 7th, my weight was 235. So that's a loss of 3.2 pounds between February and March. But today, I continue to exercise approximately 4 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week. That is something I've never done in my entire life, y'all. When I say I really did not like exercise, I mean I did not like exercise, but it worked. I eat very mindfully and make good decisions in terms of the value or the quality of the food that I am consuming at any given time, and how it benefits my body. I am much happier. I am obviously healthier. My skin is better. My waist actually is now a 42 to 40. So you can't really see because of the way the camera is, but the pants that I'm currently wearing, these are 40s. Jeans, 40s. I have not worn a 40 since I was probably in high school. So that's a real benefit. And really for me, the inches being lost is more significant and more important than the weight number on the scale, because I'm also building muscle. And as we know, muscle is heavier. Some of the other benefits and things that have occurred since the surgery, I wear an extra large shirt. In general, my normal shirts are too big. And I'm going to show you what I wore prior. This is just a jacket that I would wear. I keep it in my office. I call it my Mr. Rogers jacket. This is the jacket now since I've lost weight. I don't know if you can see, but this is what I used to wear. And when I wore it before my journey began, it would fit me like this. So it would be on the, tighter side. But now, I mean, I can put my son's body in here in this jacket. So I know the weight is coming off. And that's without question. And the scale may or may not always say what I want it to say, but once I changed my mindset and realized it's not about the scale, because the scale is not really the metric. The metric for me is how I feel. The fact that I don't have to take a whole bunch of medication anymore. I am no longer taking diabetic medication at all. My blood pressure medication has been removed and replaced with a water pill. So, which is much better for my kidneys and all of those other things. So I am very, very happy about those things. I am literally 32.4 pounds down from away from my goal weight. And I know for some people that sounds like, oh my God, 34 pounds, that's a lot. It really is not when you consider when I started this process, I was 85 pounds away from my goal weight, which is 200 pounds. Okay. And if you really look at like when I was at my highest weight, and I've always wanted to be at 200 or just a little bit below that. Um, when I was 303, that's 103 pounds away. So I am far closer to my goal weight than I have ever been in my entire life, really. So those are really good things. And as I say this, I just, and I'm gonna close with this because obviously I don't want it to be a 30-minute video, but I just want to share the importance of being mindful if you are starting this process. Be mindful of what you're consuming in your body. That's number one. I'm not a food guru. I'm not somebody to, I'm not a food police. I'm not pointing and wagging my fingers at anybody. I know for me, because I love food, I love to eat. Food, travel, family, friends, those are things that make up who I am as a person. But I also know if I overindulge or put the wrong foods in my body, I am putting myself at risk to not enjoy those other things, specifically my family and those friends and colleagues and my students and people that I really love that help me be who I am. So I am doing this for me, number one. Number two, I am doing it for the people that I love so I can be around much longer, to spend time with them and to enjoy life with them. Do I still enjoy the foods that I eat? Yes. I just don't eat as much of it, nor do I eat certain things at all anymore that I used to like. Some things that I really used to like, I don't consume right now. A, because I know they're trigger foods for me. And B, they just physically impact my body in a negative way. So I stay away from heavy carbs. Like I'm okay. Here's real talk. Some of these things that you see on YouTube about, the best pasta to have. If you're a pasta eater, you can have this kind of pasta because it only has like 2 carbs or 3 carbs or blah, 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 blah. It's made out of some plant. That stuff is horrible. I have yet to find any pasta, spaghetti, or anything in that realm that remotely interests me and my taste buds. So instead of eating foods that I do not like, just so I can say I'm eating something similar to pasta, I find other foods that I really enjoy and I eat those. So instead of having, we all know the trick with spaghetti squash. You can make spaghetti squash and put, pasta sauce on it and try to make your brain think you're eating spaghetti. No, my brain doesn't think I'm eating spaghetti. My brain says I'm eating spaghetti squash with tomato sauce on top of it. So instead, I prepare the spaghetti squash the way I want to have it as spaghetti squash, not to mimic some other food. So if there's any tip that I can give you, eat the things that you love and enjoy, but be mindful of the nutritional value and how it impacts your body. So if you choose to eat a piece of bread, right? For some, you can eat bread and it will not bother you at all. For me, if I eat regular bread, it fills my pouch up. And if you know anything about VSG, you go from a normal sized stomach to something about this big, depending on, what your surgeon decides. So that's where I am. That's what I have been doing. This is the longest update I've given thus far, but I wanted to share with you guys. This is 4 months of information, but I can tell you unequivocally that this was the best decision I've ever made in my life. People around me are supportive and loving, and I can't ask for anything more than that. So I wanted to share this with you. I hope as you move forward through your journey, you continue to grow and develop and love yourself. And please, for the love of all things positive, follow your doctors and medical team's advice. Do not try to do this on your own because that's what got us here in the first place. All right, peace out, everyone. Love you much. Be blessed. Bye-bye. Let's see if I can stop the live. Okay.